Hi, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Coffee with the Coach. I am Coach Allie, and with me today is going to be my lovely sidekick, Leah. Say hi, Leah. Wake up, girl.
I know. Hi.
Uh-oh. Leah looks like she's had a really rough night,
I'd say week.
a rough week. I'm with you,
Yeah.
girl. And I'm so glad to hear that because that is exactly what today's topic is about. I'm going to say it. I know we're live and I'm not censored, but when you feel like you've had a week from hell and you're about to lose your shit, this is what that's about. Because I think there must be something in the moon this week, or the moon phase, or the shift of the earth, or I don't know. But you look like you've had the kind of week that I've had. So
I know.
yeah, today we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the stressors that we all face. I know Leah and I come from different segments of the world. I am an entrepreneur. I'm a mom. I'm homeschooling kids. I am a wife. I am a sister. I'm a friend. And Leah, I know you are an amazing kick-ass female in the production arena of the world. Yes,
Yes,
you're
ma'am.
making waves in the world that's usually male dominated, right? So I'm sure you
Mhm.
have your own stress, and you're a partner and you're a friend and you have family. So um, when we're trying to juggle all of those different things, sometimes that leads to major headaches, right? And we sometimes we have a good week and sometimes we have a disaster week. So we're just going to talk about that bluntly today, not necessarily a ton of teaching. We'll give you some suggestions of what I do as a health coach. And Leah has some great suggestions she shared with me, how to
Yeah.
survive and not necessarily completely sabotage what you're doing. And so we want to talk with that today. And if you're joining with us live, we certainly would love your comments so that way maybe we can help you out too. We're all in this together. So
Yes, we
let's
are.
talk about Leah's weekday. What was with the sunglasses, Leah?
Oh man, it was one of those, and I will say I did kind of sabotage myself. But hold on a second, let me just freshen up my glass here, my no drama llama. But you know,
Yeah.
yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I just,
Bottle. Really? Really? Okay. So Leah, I was about to get mad at you, and then I noticed the cap on. But before we even do that, listen, look at my today's Fa la 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 Mary. So this is my Starbucks refillable cup that we can't use at Starbucks anymore.
Yes. Hashtag COVID.
Hashtag COVID. But today I made it at home. It's a little bit of coconut mocha flavored coffee with a little A2 sweet cream in it. So loving my coffee. What's in your mug today besides that Crown Royal?
It's legit just, La Croix and Crown.
It's what?
Just LaCroix.
Oh, LaCroix winner. So
But you
yeah,
didn't notice. You didn't notice. I mean, it was
I
just.
did. I did. So yeah, I noticed that the cap was on that. I was gonna say I was very proud of you because for a moment you made my heart just kind of skip a beat. Like, really? So
It's my favorite thing to do to you.
I thank you so much, so much. Oh, by the way, like I was telling you before, I have a little gift coming for you with our coffee with the coach segment because I've noticed the no drama llama for a few weeks. So we have to freshen you up. Um,
Yes.
Yeah, I seem to change my mugs all the time, and you kind of stay with one. Is there a reason?
But
Is it one mug per
I
girl?
I feel like with no drama llama, it's like it's kind of a refreshing thing to see because when we all have had our hard week, I feel like when you read this no drama llama, you can't help but smile when you see that guy. Can't help it.
You know,
It's
it'd make me smile even more. The T-shirt that says "Llama stay in bed."
llama.
That I think would
I
make me.
want that one.
I want that one too. I think that would make me. But yeah, your llama does make me smile. So that is kind of awesome. It does make me smile. So, um, do we normally keep the cap on the crown liquor, Leah, or is stress something where you turn to alcohol?
I don't know. I mean, does this indicate where I stand?
Yeah, but at least when you poured it in the mug, you
It
had it
was
capped.
definitely, yes, I had a cat. So sometimes when I, have like that, it's a thing in production, right? Where like it's like you spend an average of 10 to 12 hours just in this just intense stress and just, like just anticipating everything that can go wrong in a shoot. And then all of a sudden it's like when everything is said and done, it's like the only, and if, in fact, like I talk about this with my new camera operator assistant who came in on with my job, and we actually talked about, ironically, that every time we call it's a wrap, you just break into a round of applause. I don't think any other job does that. It's just like, oh, it's 5 o'clock, I'm out of here. But when you're working on set and it's like this collective feeling of achievement, everybody's like, woo, let's go home. And unfortunately, after that, you have the wrap parties, and then you have it, everybody has a get together at the bar of all places. Everybody wants to meet at the bar or go to a restaurant. Obviously, I'm talking about pre-COVID when, we have that camaraderie, but yeah, you just can't help it. It's like that one glass of, like, one cocktail that just brings you right back to like kind of normalcy. But yeah, so it's
You actually gave me a really good thought while I was listening to you. Because I'm sitting there thinking, well, damn, my 12 or 14-hour days between working and everything is just, kind of like coming home, and it doesn't feel like it ever really stops. Like, I feel like one job ends, being a coach, and yes, I have an office, but then I'm also working from home virtually seeing clients. And so I feel like, there's this continuity of a day, like it doesn't break, and then I come home,
mhm.
and then I have to pick up being a mom and the house and all those, laundry, cooking, all that other stuff. What's for dinner? I almost feel like when you said that, I'm like, God, what's my wrap? My wrap is like when I go to bed, like when I put and I almost feel like I like had this mental image while you were just talking of saying, like, as I sit down at the end of the night before I go to bed, saying like, that's a wrap, and giving myself applause,
Yeah.
right, for getting through this productive day, I guess. But, that could be a technique that we use for ourselves, maybe instead of, there's no wrap parties. And obviously, I don't want you necessarily drinking alcohol, alcohol. And that's a whole nother segment we're going to do, people.
Yes.
I did want to give it justice this week.
I'm
I don't
actually excited for that episode because
Yeah, I don't want to just talk about alcohol. That's kind of something where you need pictures to go along with it. I really felt this week, just even as a coach, my job is to help people get through these moments. And sometimes when you're having that moment, you feel very vulnerable. I mean, there's times where I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a fraud. I'm supposed to be teaching people this. And then I'm losing my own mind. And, you have to realize that we're all human and we're looking for the best way to get through it. And, for me, alcohol, that's not my trigger. Through the years, alcohol has actually started to affect me, that when I drink, it actually affects my tissues in my body, and I almost go into this fibromyalgia reaction, and it hurts. So I've become accustomed to, that's not something I would turn to, but I'm not opposed to it. People think, oh, I can never drink again, especially if you're trying to lose weight. And, it's pretty much like why we use alcohol. If we're using alcohol to numb an emotion, it's definitely not the right time, right? If it's
Yeah.
something we're doing because we truly enjoy the taste of, vodka with diet tonic, and you love it with the squeeze of lime, and it's just something you're really looking forward to, it's a different story. We have a different level of respect for it. But it's just one of those, you look for the tools. And while I was listening to you, I was like, God, when is the last time I've given myself a wrap? Like, that's a wrap for the day. And really applauded myself, rather than think like, just put the covers on my head and like end this day. So
Yeah.
it's really, I never thought about it like that before when you look at your profession. But I kind of like that
Mhm.
idea. Like, I need to go home and, at the end of the day, and hey, then like, so, I've got to imagine that that's really tough for you, that's a long day, and you're really on your end. Part of your job is to create someone else's vision. Yes. Can you hear
That
me?
is true. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was going to say,
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
And so really it kind of comes back to that. You're never doing it for you. You're doing it to please someone else, and you're spending those hours in a day. And granted, yes, you're getting paid for it, but it's still that idea of where is your mental focus a good portion of the day? Is it on you or is it really on someone else?
Yeah. I mean, to a certain extent, I see what you're saying that it's somebody's vision, but in the moment, I when I'm doing the job and I put a lot of care into how I frame my shot and how things look, and that's where I feel like that's like my thumbprint being put on there because in the end they're going to use that shot, or in the end, yeah, I'm going to give them something where they're going to be like, wow. So it's like it's also that part of the stress, right? It's like, all right, how do you challenge yourself to like give a better shot to the production stuff? But that's the mission that I give myself. So that's my accomplishment. It's like, okay, how did I help get that vision on screen to where they like it and to where I like it and to where I feel proud of it too.
So how much of that philosophy do you take home with you?
What do you mean by that?
Well, um, it's very easy for me to go into work and educate people, on what to do or how to breathe or, how to eat. And it's become something where I don't ever want to say I'm a master. I just feel that I'm more educated in that arena than somebody else. So you share that knowledge. But then sometimes you go home and it's as if you have no knowledge, right? You come home and you're faced with something. So I'm listening to you talk about like having your imprint and your vision and really wanting it just right and just perfect. So how much of that same brain comes home with you into your life, into your home, into your goals and your needs?
Very minute because all that takes a toll on me. So yes, I definitely come home and there I go. I always make myself the cocktail, even though right now I'm currently on a journey to where I want to be better, but yet there's my saboteur because again, it's just that easy to just pour some ice, pour some whiskey, pour some ginger ale, and that's it. I'm done, So yeah, I am lacking in that arena to where I have to keep the discipline that I bring to work. I have to carry it over at home. And sometimes I'm just so brain dead that I'm just like, just, I don't care. That's the problem. I switch to I don't care. And that's my challenge.
We say you do the, again, no censor tears, but you chuck it in the fuck it bucket, right? By the time you come home, and I get that. I totally, it's so funny because I know everyone in the world probably has this same discussion. I swear I feel like I'm the only one who knows how to cook in my house. And sometimes that burden is because I'm the healthy person or the health coach, that it should be my responsibility ultimately to make the decisions about what we eat or what we do. And I swear sometimes I come home and if I'm not prepared or planned, it's the, okay, well, what are we having for dinner? And it starts at about 6 or 6:30. Like I'm first now thinking about what are we having for dinner? And then I don't know, what do you want? I don't know, what do you feel like?
Oh my gosh. I
I
have
don't
that
know.
argument with Shark Bait all the time. What are we
You
doing for
know,
dinner? No, what do you know? And then it
I
just
don't know.
turns into
And
a
then
full on argument.
yeah, and then what does it resort to? It's like, well, let's order a pizza because that's quick. And it's like it's so funny how it seems like it's so much more difficult to lack planning, like to plan. When I talk to people all the time about, okay, what does your menu look like for the week? What is the, do you have everything on hand? What is your plan? And I don't have time to think about that. And I swear when I don't have that plan, I feel like life is so much harder and it actually adds to my stress. I mean, this has been one of those weeks, and I know, I call myself a momager, like a mom manager, right? A momager is a
Yeah.
manager because I literally feel like I'm in charge of everyone's schedules and their mother. And I feel like, since COVID, and I know my mom's out there will agree with me that since COVID, it's become so much more challenging, especially in this whole educational front, right? So recently had a little issue with one of my children, and really knowing what was in school, right? Knowing homework wasn't getting done, which I did not know about. And I realized my kid's a really good kid. I'm sure every parent says that. My child's really good. But she is really good kid, really smart, really, wants to impress and wants to please. And in this environment where we are so virtual, without that, it's one thing for me to coach virtually because it's still one-on-one. It's still that dynamic where it's a personal attention. I know who I'm dealing with, but in the school system, you have one teacher, God love them, and I praise them for all that they're doing with our kids. But you have one teacher and hundreds of students that they have to deal with. And it's very hard, especially if a camera isn't on, to really, my daughter has a name that could be a boy or a girl. And to this day, we are already in the first quarter. And to this day, one of her teachers thinks that she's a boy,
Oh my
because
God.
and my daughter is too afraid to say something to make that teacher feel bad and say, I'm a girl, like, oh, I'm so sorry, but you keep calling me a boy. So there isn't this communication, or there's not this need to live up to a standard. And it's so different. And so as a mom manager, like I just found out that my daughter wasn't living up to her potential. And it's not even excessive expectation. It's just she's not getting it done. And I'm trusting too much as a parent that she is. And I got to tell you, Leah, man, I wanted to lose my mind.
I
And
bet.
I swear I spent the good portion of 30 minutes trying to rummage through every cabinet, freezer, refrigerator, looking for something that maybe I had left over because I wanted some chocolate or some candy or something so badly. Nothing was satisfying me. And
Yeah.
it, because I hear these stories all the time. And, I've lived through it before, obviously, before, I got into this career. But I had that moment where it came back so strong that, again, I'm not a drinker. So where maybe for you, it was like poured over ice. I'm
Yep.
I'm a sweets person. So I was looking for like 2019 Halloween candy hidden somewhere in a in a closet.
Wow.
I'm like,
I wish I wish there was a camera like in their
oh,
little kitchen area, and I could just see you scurrying around from one side of the camera frame to the other side of the camera. You just look like a squirrel.
and the worst part is like checking over my head to make sure nobody's catching me. Like, does anybody see me rummaging? I was totally doing that thing where I was just like, can anybody hear me? Can anybody see me? Like my husband was working, and I don't know what my son was doing, and my daughter's in her room, and I'm just like, oh my God, like I'm looking, and it's that secret squirrel, like
Yeah.
something I got to get
It's
something.
just it's like life stresses brings out the inner squirrel, right, in you. So it's like you're just like frantically searching for that relief, right? So yeah, unfortunately I get home and it's like straight to the kitchen. I see my ginger ales, I see my crown, and I'm done. It's that quick.
So how do I think most people can relate to what we're talking about to some degree, because there are so many stresses, and like you said, I think this week for some reason has hit everyone.
It has. It really has.
It's been crazy. And again, lunar shift or whatever is going on, Mercury retrograde, I'm not sure, but I wish it would end. But to that degree, so give me some ways that you handle it. So, your goal, and we've discussed our journeys, that your goal is to, tone up, get healthier, not sabotage yourself so much. So if you come home and you have a day like that, or it's been a week like that, and you see that, ginger ale and your Crown Royal or whatever else, what, when you're on, let's talk about when you're on, right? Because maybe you're not on right now, but when you're on or you're engaged, or like this goal is more important to me than everything else, what are some of your tactics to overcome that urge?
To be honest, I drink like distractors. When I'm on, I'm on. I'm not gonna lie. Like I can literally see the bottle there, and I'm just like, I'm good. It's incredible when when I'm like really focused. But when I have my days, but I'm still on. I do drink LaCroix, which is like it's it's a comfort thing, right?
Is it just
I
bubbly? Do you like the bubbly?
I think
Is that
it's the seltzery, the sparkling water type of thing, and I kind of like to drink that too when I'm on set. I started picking up that habit where I drink sparkling water. Um, but LaCroix for some reason, and I actually mix it with water and I put ice in it and it just tastes like a refreshing drink. And I think that's more than anything what I strive for is I just need like something refreshing. So that does the trick for me. So I actually wanted to ask you your thoughts on LaCroix, you know?
so? There's two thoughts to that. One, LaCroix isn't bad. Um, Usually I just try not to have someone drink their whole day in sparkling water. There's still an amount of carbonation that's in it. Carbonation is really hard to break down once it gets within the body, especially if it gets trapped inside of any of the fat cells. It's very difficult to actually break down and get rid of. So I usually say about 24 ounces a day of our hydration can come from that. I do understand people use that. It's got a different flavor. There's a whole bunch of different ones that are out right now. There was one that I just tried. I wish I saved the can recently. I got it at Fresh Market and it had a really nice flavor to it. And I'm not a sparkling water person, but this one actually tasted really good. It wasn't overly carbonated, but it gave me enough and it had like a lemon taste to it. I
Hmm.
think a lemon or lime. I have to get that and put that on one day. Maybe we'll just get a whole bunch of different waters and show the different waters. But um, I'm okay. I'm okay with that. I think the other thing, one of the things I've learned as far as handling that stress or that idea of that when you come home from work, that's the first thing you go to. There used to be, I have a friend, Sandy. So if he's watching, hi, Sandy. I have a friend, Sandy, that would work with me in the office and help me out, and assist with some coaching. And one of the things we realized is that after coaching for a full day, Saturdays were always the worst, and you're always switching mind frames, right, from one client to the next client, and because you have to be in the zone with them, and it's a quick transition that by the time I was done for the day and I would come home from the office, I was exhausted, and it would be a Saturday and I'd be just mentally drained, and I'd want to come home and just nap and go to sleep, and I'd wake up and it really wasn't a nap, it ended up being a sleep, and I'd wake up and realize that my day's almost over, and then I'd kind of get upset like my weekend day is done,
Yep.
wasted so much time. And so we coined this word transition Saturday. And all it meant was, and again, kind of the idea of where coffee with the coach was born, was that I would leave the office. And at the time, pre COVID, you could sit at a Starbucks. I feel like I'm like ancient now. Do you remember the time you could sit at a
I
Starbucks?
know. It's pretty sad.
But I would sit at a Starbucks and we would just talk. It had nothing to do with work. It had nothing to do. My husband would come and join us, and we would just sit down and we would just talk and we'd have our coffee. And by the time I left, and it was about an hour usually, and by the time
Mhm.
I left, I felt so refreshed and energized that by the time I came home, I didn't need the nap. I still had my whole day and I just wasn't in that drain.
Yeah.
So we started coining transition, right? Like you need to have a transition. So maybe one of the things to help you from that would be on your drive home from work. Some people have a 5-minute drive, some people have a 50-minute drive. But on your way home from work, that time should be your transition. And what do you do in that transition to help you get to that next phase, right? So for some
Hmm.
people, if you have Sirius or XM radio, I believe it's channel 65, 62 or 65. One of them was called the Spa Channel. Now I think it's called Mood. I
Yeah.
know they changed the name. Um, but we would say get yourself a nice air freshener in your car, put on some relaxing music, and breathe on the way home. And give yourself that same feeling you would when you walk into a spa. You don't even need to have a treatment done in a spa, but the minute you walk in, you're automatically start to feel more relaxed, right? Some people, I like podcasts. Obviously, we're doing a webcast. I like that idea. But if it's a political or it's causing you to think or get hyped up about an idea and it's not something that's self-helping, I know a lot of people are into NPR and all of those things. Sometimes those are not helpful. So switching and doing an audiobook, a mystery, a romance novel, a comedy, whatever, or switching on the comedy channel, or listening to something that's more about uplifting, There's a lot of really positive podcasts that are out there about how to be the best version of ourselves we can be. That's a form of transition. If you can't, sometimes I still will stop at Starbucks on the way home, and I'll just sit in the park, and I'll just sit there for
Yeah.
10 minutes of quiet time, because when I go home, I'm not going to get that time, right? When I go home and I open the front door, my next life is going to hit me in the face. And you don't even have to have kids for that. It could be the bills that are going to be paid. If the air conditioning broke down, like in the sense with this, my pool motor broke. I mean, there's all these different things that are going to happen that my mind space is going to be dependent on how I react to that. So it's, if it's the water and the bubbly, maybe that's something you save for your drive home. Keep it nice and chilled at work if you can. And then on the drive home, you pop it open almost like a beer.
It's
And
funny. Yeah, it's funny that you say that because I actually do that. Well, in my when I was freelance, production would generally buy snacks and crafty and stuff, but they definitely buy like LaCroix, and it became almost a tradition, right? When I would leave the set, I would grab one of those cans and just get in my vehicle, and I'd be drinking that, and yeah, it totally works. And um, I should actually pack that and start that. It's like, what makes it any different because I'm working in in an office set? I should actually, just take the LaCroix to work and then just take the one can, put it in my car. But yeah, I definitely have to restart that. That's good
yeah, and
stuff.
it's amazing. We know successful tools. Like today's, webcast for me is outside. I happen to be an outside person. I feel like I'm an elemental person. Like I love water, I love air, I love the earth, I love fire. Like those things matter to me. And so this is something like today I'm doing it outside because it makes me feel better. I look forward to, and shout out to my really good friend who walks with me on Sundays, Lori, because she's the one who gave me the idea about today, because that's part of my stress relief. Every Sunday it's a chance to connect and we go for a walk. And that is, whether I feel like it when I first wake up in the morning, I know it's the good thing for me. And there's so many benefits out of that. It's not necessarily a walk for exercise, which I do get the benefit of, but it's
Yep.
more about that connection. I need to, it's a safe space. And sometimes just making sure that we're connecting with the people who don't want anything from us, that they're not looking for something other than your genuine company. So,
Hmm.
that's something I know. There's just so many different tools that we have that we can use that sometimes we just forget. Um, I have, I love flowers, right? And I do with sunflowers. I wish I could show you. I got them for myself. I happened to be grocery shopping the other day, and there was a pack of sunflowers. They make me smile.
That's
Um,
awesome.
Got to tell you, there's someone in my house that thinks that they look evil, that they're going to come suck their face off in the middle of. So, I know if I want them to make me happy, I have to buy them myself. Um,
Face sucking sunflowers. You're gonna like it or not.
I
That's
love,
it.
hey, people, I love sunflowers. If anyone wants to send me sunflowers, I will never turn them away. They're just, to me, they're happy flowers. They remind me of big, giant smiley faces. I don't know why. And you know
I
what?
don't know, but whoever that person is, apparently it's a terrorizing species.
It's so, I don't understand. And I will give you a hint. It's a male. Um,
Okay.
So, it makes me laugh. But you know what? Buy yourself some flowers. There is nothing better than getting and putting some fresh flowers in a vase. And I absolutely love them. And why am I, what is the special occasion? Why am I waiting for it? For the $4.97 it cost me, it makes me happy to look at. And
Yeah.
we forget just small little things. And it's just, it's that self care or the self love. I call it the airplane theory. There is that idea on the plane that if something should happen and the oxygen mask falls, before you help anyone else, you help yourself. That mask goes on you before it goes on someone. And we forget about that airplane theory in life. It only
Yeah.
matters when we're on a plane, right? And how can you be efficient? And I have to remind myself of that. I can't keep helping everyone else. And there are people, there are people who are naturally we call them givers, and there are takers, right?
Yeah,
And a giver is someone who you're going to give your time freely. You're going to give and lend your ear. You're going to give, advice. You're going to give whatever you can to help another person because that's who you are. And there are people who will take, that are attracted to that. And so we have to be really careful and set those boundaries for ourselves. At what point can we shut down and prevent ourselves from being sucked dry by I want to call them like vampires, but in a way it's an energy vampire. And we've probably been on the other side too, where we've been that vampire and taken more than what we've left behind.
that's true.
Isn't it kind of like the earth, right? In this whole debate with climate change and everything else, that we're taking more than we're giving back. And it's this huge circle, and it comes back to us. And we forget some breathing. There's about 5 or 6 different methods of breathing that are out there, whether it's box breathing or abdominal breathing or Ayurvedic breathing. I mean, we could do a whole series just on different kinds of breathing. There's sound meditation, which is a
Yeah.
huge thing.
And that's the thing I wanted to bring up too is I believe that's like kind of related to like mindfulness too, right?
Mhm.
And so I just want to throw out there that we have somebody that is interested in joining us in our next podcast.
Yay!
Yeah. So I spoke with my really good high school friend, Ulysses. I don't know if you're out there watching, but you're out there. I invited her to come to the show, and she actually is coaching mindfulness to people out there, whether it's entrepreneurs, people who work intense jobs, but she's actually coaching them on how to better, uh, handle their stress loads and such. So I think she would be a great, contributor to this.
That's fantastic, and I'm so glad you said that because we have it. I'm starting to line up these guests, and there's someone else that I've reached out to. Her name is Jeanette from Beach Aesthetics, and she is an entrepreneur or mompreneur as well.
Mompreneur.
A mompreneur, us moms who are entrepreneurs, right? And she is an esthetician, and I wanted to talk about the things for self-care, right? So what are all of those things that we can tap into that make us feel better? Because listen, a beautiful shade of lipstick rocks, right? But there's nothing that feels better like, we're all looking to retain our youth. We're all looking, and when we stress out, we age, we oxidate ourselves, and we literally can age. And one of the coolest things that I've seen in the practice, it's, let me tell you what, there's some, I don't care how stressed you are, right? And I have someone recently that came in who was extremely stressful job. And one of the things I mentioned to her was, wow, you look amazing from the last time that I've seen you. And they said, I know you have a stressful job, but it's just not showing on your face. So I'm not saying that the stress isn't there anymore, but you must be doing other things to manage the stress because I see it in your hair, I see it in your face, your skin. And it's amazing how those things manifest itself and we can see it. So I definitely want to, we also have a chiropractor from Revive Chiropractic that's going to be joining us on an episode that we're going to call Wine and Spine.
Wine
So,
and spine. I
yes, that
love
you
it.
can figure out what that wine means to you, whether it's a glass or you just want to talk.
We all know where I'm
But,
headed.
yeah, right. But to talk about the certain things, a lot of people are working at home, and our posture ends up damaging us. And what can that do to our mood overall and our physicality? And there's so many things, and what is that in relation to the body as a whole? So there's a lot of ways to manage our stress. I think it's safe to say that we're all human. We all have good strategies and techniques, but sometimes we totally forget about them, which is why a session today, part of it is just to show our vulnerabilities that we are like you. I curse, I forget shit all the time. I have my moments that I'm that little secret squirrel. Leah, you have your moments with alcohol. And but we do the best we can, and that's the difference. What healthy lifestyle means is that it's not a matter of beating yourself up for the bad day. It's learning to make the bad days less and
Yeah.
embracing overall what our goals are, and not getting ourselves into such a frenzy that we just can't control anymore. You know what I mean?
I think also the beautiful thing is, and that's something that I've learned throughout my journey too, is that you can always bounce back, and you can come back stronger. And you just have to evaluate yourself and say, okay, this is this is going to happen. It's like you see what has happened and what is going to happen, and it's like, all right, so we know this is, in the moment, this is part of my schedule. How do I prepare for that? Just like when I go into one of my jobs, I have this camera that I never worked with. Okay, how do I prepare for that? And that's doing research. But in terms of bouncing back to your journey and going back to your discipline and learning to ignore that bottle of crown, that's that's the beauty of it. It's like, all right, I had my fun. Let me just, you know, I know it's there, but I know what I'm trying to achieve. So get it together. And you can start over.
I like that. But you're right. It's about bouncing back. Monday is not the be all end all start of the week. We don't start fresh on Monday because it's Monday. That next moment is when we start fresh. I mean, just little things to remember, because everyone has that, oh, I'll worry about it on Monday. And no, you know what? You worry about it at that next meal. You worry about that next moment, because you may not have Monday. And we forget about that. There's no guarantee that we have a tomorrow.
Yep.
And unfortunately, once we hit disease, all it simply means is that your body is at dis-ease with itself. It just means it's not comfortable. It's not feeling good. And why wait until that moment until we take action? And stress always leads to the root of almost all chronic disease states. And it's so important that we find the right ways that we can, number one, own our mistakes. I mean, that's part of being human. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things about being human. The teaching opportunities are in the mistakes, they're not in the getting it right 100% of the time. There would be no reason to teach, right? If
Yep.
everybody got it right from the beginning, why have schools? Why have any profession for that matter? Because everybody would be a
Yep.
genius. And that's just not
Exactly.
realistic. But, I heard something the other day and it sits with me. And I want to share that with you as one of my last comments, unless you have anything more to say, Leah. But we spend more time and we have more concern making sure our cell phones are charged than we are,
That
right?
is so true.
And it's kind of sad that our electronic being charged means more to us than keeping ourselves recharged. And I kind of want to take this moment and give you guys applause, because at some point during this week you have done something good for yourself, or you've saved yourself from that moment. And we're so quick to beat ourselves up and we forget that round of applause at the end, right? So
Yep.
I thank you guys for that. And hopefully, if you've heard us today, you take something with you, or you can relate to something that we've said, because I think it's important that we have a space to be able to share those feelings. Leah?
Yes. I agree 1,000%. It, it's so crazy how you and I can sync up with like our, crazy schedules and how life affects us. The same impact, but in different types of scenarios. So I feel like this taking this episode and just describing, okay, like we had this happen, how do we move forward? I think it's always how do we move forward from here? It's
Absolutely.
opportunities.
It is. And it's not waiting anymore. A lot of people with COVID are waiting for something to be over, that next phase to happen. And I just stop waiting. There's nothing to wait for. Life is going to happen every day, whether we want it to or not. It's up to us whether we're controlling that. And we can't complain and bitch that it's not working out if we're not following the steps or we're not doing the things we need to do, because it's always a choice. If you pick up the
Yep.
bottle of Crown, if I eat the candy bar, that is a choice, right? And we're
That's,
all
yep.
making that. So, let's make the choice to do better, to be better the best way we can. And Honestly, I feel like this has been stress relief for me. So, hey, maybe having a webcast is a good form of stress relief. But
Yeah, absolutely.
Leah, thank you for being with me again today and being an amazing co host. And for everyone out there, I'm going to use Leah's terms and I'm going to say, that's a wrap. Leah.
Yeah.
Yay! Have a great week, guys. Stay strong. Let us know your comments. If you're looking for the most amazing coach in the world to go ahead and coach you on that next step of the journey, make sure to look us up on Facebook at Why Wait Wellness. And I'm Coach Allie, and this is Coach Leah. Where's my hands here? This is not Coach Leah, my sidekick Leah. She's a production coach. That's what I call it. Sidekick
Yeah.
Leah. And we will see you next time on Coffee with a Coach. Bye.